Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about, and the past couple of days people asked me what I was going to talk about, and I said I really wasn't sure yet. I hadn't really come up with it, but I did think about a piece of advice that I got from one of my teachers, a rabbi at the Jewish Theological Seminary on the west side where I went to rabbinical school, and then also two stories from my own personal life. So first was the piece of advice. I wasn't sure, do I take all of the time that I was given? And so I remember asking Professor Bert Visotsky, a rabbi, how long should a sermon be? And he responded that a sermon is actually like a skirt on a beautiful woman. It should be long enough to cover the subject, but also short enough to keep people's attention. And the two stories from my personal life, the first, and I might be the only speaker during this conference to actually reference a college thesis, but when I was in college, I was sort of wrestling in two worlds. One, I wanted to be a rabbi. I was interested in Jewish texts and Torah and teaching and helping people, and I was also interested in technology. And I wrote my college thesis on the way that the internet was affecting the Jewish world and how it affected Jewish education. The second story, and I should mention that what I wrote in that college thesis, however many years ago it was, still affects me today. The internet is still changing the Jewish world. It's changing the way that we teach these Jewish texts that have been around for thousands of years. The second story was right before I went to rabbinical school in August of 1998. And I went out to lunch with my father, who had started a computer company in 1994, so about 4 years prior. And he said to me, I'm very proud that you're going to become a rabbi, but I always dreamed that you would take over the computer company. So he said to me, be a great rabbi, but just promise me one thing, that no matter how you are a rabbi, no matter how you practice, what type of rabbinate you explore, you will always be a techie rabbi. And I really held to that agreement. So no matter what type of rabbi I was, whether it was in a synagogue, I worked on a college campus, at a Hillel, at the University of Michigan, I've worked at Jewish summer camps, and I've always been blogging, and I was the one taking care of the website and Facebook and all of these great things. So I think that I've really found what I call the intersection between technology and Jewish life. Ironically enough, 2 years ago, this month, I took over that computer company. And when I did that, I made a promise to myself. I said, if I'm going to run a computer company, I'm still going to be a rabbi. I'm not going to drop the title, I'm not going to drop the identity, and I'm certainly not going to drop the brand that I've created. And I'll talk a little bit more about what it means to have a brand, because no matter where you work, if you're in a school, any type of educational setting, it's important to promote the brand of that institution. But in today's day and age, we have to also take care of ourselves. We need to massage our own brand. We need to create our own brand. So if you're a teacher, if you're a tech specialist in a school, you should be promoting that school, but you should also be promoting yourself. You don't know how long you're going to be in that institution, and you have a lot of the intellectual property that you should take with you and work on making sure that your brand is the best brand that it can be. So 2 years ago, this month, when I took over the computer company, I really wasn't that excited about tech support. It was an IT firm, great clients, some in the nonprofit world, some in the education sector. What I found was that what really interested me was Web 2.0, social media marketing, connecting with people, social media. And so I started talking to nonprofits, synagogues, things that I knew as a rabbi. And I said to them, you need to get involved with social media. And they said, well, social media, it's so new, we're not really sure how to really get our heads wrapped around that idea. And I said to them, I think you're wrong. And I would say this to anyone, to any educator. Social media is not new. Social media isn't 2 years old, it's not 5 years old, social media isn't 10 years old. Social media is thousands of years old. Okay, we've always had social media. And here's the example that I give. As a rabbi gives a sermon on the high holidays, on Rosh Hashanah. A lot of people are in the audience. The next day, in the supermarket line, two women are having a conversation, and they say, how was Rosh Hashanah services at your synagogue? It was great. What did your rabbi talk about? They're doing social media because a third woman overhears this conversation, and she says, oh, I heard that too, and, thumbs up, I liked it. Or let me comment on what the rabbi said, or even let me share what the rabbi said. Those are the three main ingredients of social media. Like, comment, share. They're not new. They've been around forever. We've always been talking. We've always been socializing. Maybe the medium has changed, but the message has not. And the spreading of that message is what's new. That's what's changed. The amplification level, the exponential growth of the message has changed through social media. And that's what I tell people all the time. Social media is not new. We just need to figure out how to use it in the 21st century. So let me tell you a little bit about why I think social media is important in education. Right before I took over the company and I started doing social media marketing for nonprofits, I launched an educational program in the Metro Detroit area. It was a group of conservative synagogues in the conservative movement for teens. So it was a once-a-week Monday night school project. And I said, in order for us to reach these teens, what I call the 2.0 generation, we need to use social media to reach them. They don't email. They use Facebook. They check in places. They tweet, but by the way, they don't tweet the same way that we do. And so we needed to hone in on that. And that's one thing that I learned. And now I'm taking what I learned there at this high school program, which by the way was called Atid, which in Hebrew means future. And I've taken that to other synagogues, and I've said to other rabbis, you need to be getting on this future bandwagon. You can't be afraid anymore that it is unseemly for a rabbi to have a blog. You need to get over the notion that a rabbi shouldn't be on Facebook, that a rabbi shouldn't be tweeting. A rabbi, by the way, for those of you not well versed in what the term means, a rabbi means educator. We're all educators. We all need to reach people where they are, and today, in 2012, they're online. And that's how we're going to reach them. So let me tell you something. These rabbis would say to me, how is it that you have your own website, rabbijason.com? How is it that you're on Facebook? How is it that you're tweeting? How is it that you have a blog? You shouldn't do that. Those same rabbis today are contacting me and saying, we need you to consult. How can I get a blog? What is the acceptable use for a synagogue on Facebook? Should our synagogue have a Facebook page? Should we have several groups? Is it important that we're on Yelp? Should we have a YouTube account? What types of videos should we put on? Should we be live streaming our services? Should I allow people to tweet my classes? So those same rabbis who were aghast when I had a website and a blog and Twitter are now contacting me and saying, we understand now that I need to brand myself. We understand we need to brand the synagogue. We need to brand the day school. We need to brand the religious school. And what it means to have clout. How many of you, by the way, are familiar with clout.com? Okay, so most hands I just saw. This idea of social clout in the 2.0 age, in the digital age, is a different type of clout. I always describe it as, clout with a C is traditional clout. Clout with a K has to do with social media amplification. What it means to have clout as an educator or as a rabbi is totally different. And we've really come to a point now where the drawing board, the slate is clean. And I use as an example a rabbi with a huge congregation. So in Detroit, the largest congregation has 3,600 families, which equates to over 10,000 people. So the rabbi at that congregation, when he gives a sermon on Yom Kippur, is speaking to as many as 5,000 people. That's clout. That's good amplification. As a rabbi without a congregation, I'm not speaking to 5,000 people on Yom Kippur. But if I write a sermon, if I want to teach my own Torah, my own wisdom, and I broadcast that on my blog, which recently reached 500,000 page views, my reach is larger than his. He was able to teach to 5,000 people, and that's impressive, don't get me wrong, in real time, in real life. But if my message is able to go out digitally to so many thousands and thousands of more people, that's what I call clout in the digital age. And as educators, you need to remember that. You might be a teacher in a very small school, but you can actually have a larger reach than a teacher in a huge school. I want to take a look at a video. This is a video that I made a few months ago. If you remember when Rick Perry was still in the campaign race, this is something that I did. And take a look. This is about social reach.
I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a Jew. Heck, I'm even a rabbi. But you don't have to be in shul on every Shabbos to know that there's something wrong in our country when gays can serve openly in the military, and yet they still can't marry each other in most U.S. states. Our Jewish kids have to be in school and watch as their peers celebrate Christmas, a holiday they don't observe. And they have to sit quietly as the Christian students pray in school. That just seems uncomfortable. As president, I will fight to end this crazy talk about a war on religion. And I will fight anyone who discriminates on the basis of sexual orientation. Intelligence made our country strong, and it will make her strong again. I'm Rabbi Jason Miller, and I think it's too cold to film a video out here in Michigan during the winter. Who approved this?
So, obviously it was a bit risky. Obviously it was a bit risky as a rabbi to do a video like that, a political message, there's some social implications.
How'd it go?
So the video is pretty soon approaching 230,000 views on YouTube, and people said to me,
Here we go.
a number of people wanted me to run for president, a number of people said if you were my rabbi I would have stayed in Hebrew school. And so, you know, that's what social media is today, that's our social reach, and I hope that as educators we'll all use the powers of the internet to reach as many people, to change lives, and most importantly to inspire. Thank you so much.
Wow.